Three men in ski masks break into a toy store in Southern California. Whispers. They walk past the cash register. They walk past the electronics aisle. They walk past a locked case of collectible watches. They go straight for the Legos. Not loose bricks, sealed sets, retired sets. The ones marked, no longer in production. In under 90 seconds, they're gone. No alarm response, no pursuit. Just an empty shelf where 47 boxes of plastic used to sit. This wasn't random. This was a targeted extraction. And it happened dozens of times across the country, in cities that had never seen organized retail theft target toys before. Retail loss analysts noticed the pattern before police did. Toy store break-ins spiking in cities that had never logged one before. Always after closing, always fast, always the same aisle. Nobody flagged it as organized crime at first. Toys don't set off financial alerts. Toys don't trigger federal task forces. That was the plan. By the time anyone connected the dots, the crews had already moved product through 4 states and 2 resale platforms. The bricks were gone before the case number was even assigned. A toy heist, investigated like a robbery, solved like nothing. Here's the number that should terrify you. Over the last 2 decades, retired Lego sets have outperformed gold. They've outperformed the S&P 500. They've outperformed government bonds. A toy, a children's toy built from ABS plastic, has become one of the highest performing asset classes on Earth. And somewhere between a factory floor in Denmark and a black market storage unit in Los Angeles, that toy stopped being a toy. It became something else. It became something else entirely. It became money. This is the story of how one company's obsession with control accidentally built a hidden financial system. This is Second Move. To understand the crime, you first have to understand the design. Lego is not a toy company. Lego is a logistics company that happens to sell plastic bricks. Every year they release hundreds of sets, and every year they kill dozens of them, deliberately, permanently. A set goes out of production, and it never comes back. This isn't an accident of manufacturing. It's a strategy. Lego controls supply the way a central bank controls a currency, except in reverse. A central bank can print more. Lego chooses never to. There's a name for people who chase this pattern. AFOLs, adult fans of Lego. A community that grew from hobbyists into hardened market analysts. They track retirement dates the way traders track earnings calls. They know which license is expiring. They know which architect set will double and which one will rot on a shelf forever. Some of them aren't buying toys anymore. They're buying calculated bets. Take the Ultimate Collector's Millennium Falcon. Retail price at launch, $800. Within 5 years of retirement, resale value had more than tripled. No dividend, no interest rate. Just a box, sitting untouched in a closet. Quietly outperforming most retirement portfolios in America. 2 people can buy the exact same box on the exact same day. One tears it open and builds a memory. The other never opens it at all. Because to that buyer, the seal itself is the asset. Same product, same price tag. 2 completely different economies, running in parallel, invisible to each other. And once that pattern gets noticed by one person, it gets noticed by everyone. They built a machine that manufactures scarcity on purpose, and scarcity, once it's real, behaves like gravity. It pulls everything toward it. Somewhere in a suburb, a father buys his daughter a Star Wars Lego set for her birthday. He has no idea what he's holding. To him, it's an afternoon of shared focus. He doesn't know that the moment that set goes out of production, its value could triple. He's not part of the system. He's raw material for it. Lego insists they don't design sets to be investments. Officially, the retirement schedule exists only to keep the catalog fresh, to make room for new licenses and new stories. But intent doesn't matter once a pattern is visible. The moment collectors could predict which sets would vanish, the incentive was already built. Nobody needed Lego's permission to start speculating. Because the moment Lego pulls a set from shelves forever, a second, invisible market wakes up, and it doesn't play by Lego's rules anymore. That was Lego's first move. The second move would not belong to them. The company built the walls. The market built the vault inside them. Within hours of a retirement announcement, algorithms moved first. Bots scrape resale marketplaces around the clock, tracking sealed box prices set by set, city by city. They don't collect Lego because they love Star Wars or Harry Potter. They collect it because scarcity plus demand equals a predictable return. Behind those bots are humans running full operations, buying hundreds of boxes at retail, storing them in climate-controlled units, waiting years before selling. Some move more capital through plastic bricks than through their actual day jobs. Compare a brick of gold to a brick of Lego. Gold is heavy, regulated, and trackable at every border. Every gram has a serial history. A sealed Lego set has none of that. No registry, no customs flag, no weight-to-value ratio that draws a second look from an inspector. Pound for pound, a shipping container of retired Lego sets can carry more stored value than most people would guess. And nobody at the port is checking for it. That's not a loophole. That's an invitation. But bots and hobbyist investors were never the part of this story that should worry you. Sealed Lego sets share three properties that most financial regulators have never had to think about. They're anonymous, they're portable, and their value is almost impossible to trace back to a transaction. That combination is exactly what organized crime looks for in anything it uses to move value quietly. A stack of sealed boxes can cross a border, sit in a storage unit for 3 years, and re-emerge as clean cash through a resale platform. With no bank, no wire transfer, and no name attached to any of it. The final step is the easiest one. List the set, sell it, get paid. No bank ever asks where a second-hand toy came from. Do that with 100 boxes, spread across a dozen accounts, and the money comes back clean, slow, and completely untraceable. This is why the raids stopped looking like theft and started looking like supply chain management. The crews weren't stealing toys. They were stealing a store of value that happens to look like a toy. Nobody knows exactly how much value is sitting in storage units like this one. That's the point. An economy that hides in plain sight doesn't publish its balance sheet. Nobody designed this. Not Lego. Not the bots. Each actor was only solving their own small problem. But stack those small decisions on top of each other, and you get something none of them intended. A shadow economy, built out of plastic, invisible until it wasn't. Step back far enough, and this stops being a story about toys. It becomes a story about trust. For most of modern history, we agreed to trust paper. We agreed that a government-issued piece of currency held value because an institution told us it would. That agreement has always been fragile, propped up by inflation targets, central bank credibility, and collective belief. But somewhere in the last 20 years, a quiet number of people decided they trusted a Danish toy company's inventory policy more than they trusted a national treasury. That's not a story about plastic bricks outperforming gold. That's a story about what happens when trust in traditional systems erodes just enough for people to go looking for alternatives. Any alternative, even one shaped like a child's toy. Lego didn't set out to build a currency. They set out to protect their brand from oversaturation. But in a world hungry for scarcity it could believe in, that protection became a product entirely on its own. Look closely and you'll find the same pattern everywhere. Limited sneakers, graded trading cards, discontinued watches. Every one of them a controlled scarcity system, quietly running the same shadow economy Lego stumbled into by accident. Lego just happened to be the version a documentary could actually explain. The bricks were never the story. They were just the easiest one to see. Value was never really about gold or paper or plastic. It was always about belief. And belief, it turns out, doesn't care what shape it's wearing. If a system built to sell toys can quietly become a global store of value, what else sitting in plain sight right now is one small decision away from becoming the same thing? Subscribe to Second Move, because the next hidden system might already be sitting on your shelf.